He was beaten in school, nearly killed doing stunts, and rejected by the film industry over and over today. The world knows him as Jackie Chan. Discover how his pain turned into legacy only in this video. Watch till the end. Jackie Chan was not born a legend. He was born to struggle. His parents were so poor that when he was born, they considered selling him to cover medical bills. His father worked as a cook and his mother a housekeeper in Hong Kong. They lived in servant quarters, small rooms, behind the houses of the rich, and from the very first breath of life, Jackie was surrounded not by comfort but by hardship. His real name was Chan Kong Sang, which means born in Hong Kong. He was a chubby, energetic child full of life, but life was not full of kindness for him. At the age of 7, his parents had to leave Hong Kong for better job opportunities in Australia. They left him behind in the hands of the Chinese Opera Research Institute, a strict boarding school known for turning children into performers or breaking them. Trying Jackie's new life was brutal. The school was more like a prison. The days began before sunrise and ended after midnight. Training in acrobatics, martial arts, singing, acting, and discipline. If you failed, if you cried, if you slowed down, you were beaten, not yelled at, beaten with sticks, bamboo, canes, whatever was available. The masters believed pain created perfection, and in Jackie's case they were right. He trained for 10 years in this unforgiving school where his body bent in ways that were not natural and where smiling was a luxury during this time. He didn't see his parents, didn't know warmth, didn't hear praise. He only knew one thing: survive the pain and become strong. And so he did. Every bruise became a lesson, every scar a reminder that he was still standing. He learned to do backflips on command, to take punches without flinching, to fly through the air and land with grace, all while hiding the tears in his eyes. When he graduated from the school, he entered the world of stuntmen, starting at the very bottom of the Hong Kong film industry, taking any job just to eat. He doubled for extras, he took punches for others, he let his body be used as a crash dummy because he knew that pain was temporary but quitting was forever. His unique combination of martial arts and acrobatics soon caught the eye of directors, but not for starring roles, just as someone who would risk everything for a scene. Then came a moment that changed his life. He worked as a stuntman on Bruce Lee's movies, Fist of Fury and Enter the Dragon. Jackie saw the master up close, saw how Bruce moved, how he owned the screen, but Jackie also saw something else. He saw that Bruce was not just fighting, he was telling a story, and Jackie knew he wanted to do the same, not just fight but make people feel something, laugh, cry, cheer. After Bruce Lee's death, the Hong Kong industry searched for the next star, someone to replace him. Many tried and failed. Then they turned to Jackie, but Jackie didn't want to be Bruce. He didn't want to imitate greatness. He wanted to create his own legacy. His first few films flopped badly. Critics called him unoriginal, too funny, too clumsy, not enough anger, not enough fury, but Jackie stayed firm. He would mix comedy with action, make fight scenes into dance sequences, full of rhythm, timing, and surprise. He wanted to be unique, even if it meant failing again and again. He began choreographing his own stunts, directing his own action sequences, pushing himself beyond human limits, jumping from buildings, rolling over cars, smashing through glass, not with wires or doubles, but with his own body. Every time he did a stunt, he risked his life, and every time he survived, he smiled because he knew no one else would dare to do what he just did. His breakthrough came with the film Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, followed by Drunken Master. Audiences had never seen anything like it. Fight scenes that were fast, precise, hilarious, and filled with heart. Jackie had arrived not as the next Bruce Lee, but as the first Jackie Chan, and yet the world outside Asia still did not know his name. He tried to break into Hollywood, but the door was slammed in his face again and again. They said he was too Chinese, too short, his English too broken. They said Western audiences wouldn't get his style, wouldn't understand the comedy, wouldn't accept the accent. But Jackie didn't give up. He returned to Hong Kong, made more films, built a massive fan base across Asia, became a box office king in his own land. But he kept his eyes on the West, not for fame but for respect. He knew success was not about being accepted, it was about never giving up and proving your worth to the world on your own terms. And so he trained harder, acted better, learned more English, watched Western films, learned how their audiences thought, what made them laugh, what made them feel. And every time he was rejected, he took it as a lesson, not a loss. By the end of the 1980s, Jackie had broken almost every bone in his body: skull cracked, nose, flattened fingers, crushed ribs, shattered teeth, knocked out, and yet he smiled in every interview because he had chosen this path, and pain was just part of the journey. The real turning point came in the 90s when he finally got a chance to lead in a Hollywood production, Rumble in the Bronx. It wasn't a huge budget film, but Jackie gave it everything: the stunts, the charm, the physical comedy, all of it, and the audience loved it. Suddenly America was paying attention. They saw not just a fighter but an artist, someone who could risk his life and still make you laugh. Jackie Chan had arrived in Hollywood not through privilege, not through connections, but through pain, persistence, and perfection. He had spent decades preparing for a moment most people would have given up on. He broke his body, but never his spirit. He was told no, but still showed up. He was left behind by his parents, by society, by the industry, but he kept moving, kept smiling, kept fighting. This was just the beginning. The world would now see what Asia already knew, that Jackie Chan was not just a movie star, he was a force, a movement, a man who had turned every injury into inspiration and every rejection into redirection. Success had finally started knocking on Jackie Chan's door, but what no one saw was that he had already bled for it, broken for it, and even nearly died for it. The world knew him now as the action comedy superstar from Hong Kong, but behind every punch he threw and every rooftop he jumped off there was a lifetime of invisible pain, a body that had been stitched, broken, rebuilt, and still kept moving, and a spirit that refused to quit even when the world told him to slow down. Rumble in the Bronx was the movie that finally gave Jackie a taste of American fame, but it did not come without a price. While filming one of the many rooftop fight scenes, Jackie jumped from a parking garage to a fire escape. The fall went wrong. He fractured his ankle badly. Most actors would have stopped the shoot for weeks, but not Jackie. He asked for a cast that looked like his sneaker and continued filming on one leg, doing stunts with a broken foot because the show had to go on and he would not let the opportunity fade. He became known not just for doing his own stunts, but for doing stunts no human should even attempt. He jumped between skyscrapers, slid down glass buildings, crashed through real windows, fell off moving buses, leaped from helicopters and balanced on wires hundreds of feet above the ground, not because he was fearless, but because he knew fear had no place between him and his purpose. Each of his movies became more daring than the last. Police Story, Armor of God, Project A. Every title on his resume came with a list of injuries: broken ribs, skull fractures, dislocated shoulders, burns, torn muscles, missing teeth. Yet Jackie never stopped filming, never complained, and never used a stunt double, because his goal was to give people something real, something unforgettable. But while audiences cheered and laughed and gasped, they never saw the nights Jackie cried himself to sleep. They never saw the surgeries, the ice packs, the loneliness, the moments when he sat alone in silence, wondering if it was all worth it. He had fame, money, and love from fans across the world, but he also had metal in his body, scars on his soul, and a deep emptiness that only purpose could fill. Hollywood finally accepted him with open arms after the success of Rush Hour, starring alongside Chris Tucker. Jackie became a global sensation. The movie made hundreds of millions of dollars, and suddenly everyone wanted Jackie Chan in their films. But even with that success, Jackie stayed humble. He never let the cameras define him, never let the box office change him, because he remembered the boy who was left behind, the boy who was beaten in school, the boy who had to earn every second on screen. Rush Hour brought Jackie fame in America, but it also brought pressure. People expected him to be funny, daring, flawless every time, but Jackie was aging. His body didn't recover the way it used to, yet he continued to train harder, stretch longer, wake up earlier, because he didn't want to give less than his best. He knew people weren't just watching a movie, they were watching him, watching his fight, his legacy. During one interview he was asked why he still did his own stunts, even when he didn't have to. He smiled and said, "Because when kids watch my movies, I want them to know I didn't fake it. I want them to know that hard work is real, that courage is real, that pain is part of the story." He didn't want to just entertain, he wanted to inspire. Jackie started getting offers from all over the world, but he was careful with his choices. He didn't want to be typecast as the funny Asian guy or the kung fu sidekick. He wanted to play heroes who had flaws, depth, emotion, and pain. So he chose roles that showed different sides of him. The Foreigner showed a darker, more broken Jackie Chan, a father who had lost everything but still fought for justice. It was a role that mirrored his own inner battles, and audiences were shocked to see the range of his talent. But even as his movies succeeded and his fame exploded, Jackie faced criticism. Some said he was too old, some said his style was outdated, some said he had lost his edge. But Jackie never responded with words. He responded with work. He kept pushing, making films, doing stunts, training young actors, building schools, funding charities, giving back to the industry that once had no place for him. He also carried regrets, heavy ones. He once admitted he wasn't the best husband or father in his younger years. He had been so focused on success that he missed birthdays, milestones, moments he wished he could get back. He tried to make peace with those mistakes through actions by becoming more present, more grounded, more generous with his time and his heart behind the fame. Jackie struggled with identity, being too Western for China, too Chinese for the West, stuck between cultures and expectations, but he embraced both sides. He spoke in English and Mandarin, acted in Hollywood and Asia, wore suits and kung fu robes because he believed you don't have to pick a side to have a voice, you just have to be true to who you are. He faced controversy to political pressures, mistakes in interviews, media backlash, but he never let the noise distract him from his work. He believed that the best answer to criticism was contribution, and he let his actions speak louder than any headline. His body had aged, but his fire had not. He continued to wake up before sunrise to train with the same discipline he learned as a boy in boarding school. He trained the next generation of martial artists, choreographers, stunt teams, teaching them not just how to fight, but how to endure, how to lead, how to work with honor and humility. Jackie knew that every movie could be his last, not because he feared death, but because he respected time, and he wanted to leave behind a legacy not just of box office records, but of effort, passion, and heart. He wanted people to remember not just the stunts, but the struggle, not just the action, but the attitude that made it possible. He once said, "When you watch me fall, you're not just seeing a stunt. You're seeing my whole life. Every time I hit the ground, it's everything I've learned, everything I've overcome. That's why I get up and smile, because pain is proof that I'm still alive, still fighting, still here." And so he continued breaking the rules, breaking bones and breaking expectations, turning every scar into a story, every failure into fuel, and every moment of pain into a moment of power. Jackie Chan was no longer just a name. He had become a symbol, a reminder that greatness is not given, it is earned. Through years of invisible battles and unstoppable belief, he had conquered the world with his fists, his falls, and his fearless smile. But what truly made Jackie Chan unforgettable was not the number of movies he made or the awards he received. It was the way he gave all of himself to the world and expected nothing in return. Behind every action scene there was a heart that had learned to forgive. Behind every broken bone there was a soul that refused to break. As his name echoed across continents, Jackie began to think not just about what he was doing, but why he was doing it. He had nothing left to prove, not to Hollywood, not to China, not to his fans. He had already shown the world what was possible when pain becomes purpose. But now he wanted to pass that purpose forward. He started training young stuntmen not just in movement but in mindset, teaching them that discipline is louder than talent and respect is stronger than fame. He built schools, he opened film academies, he gave millions to children's hospitals, disaster relief and education programs. He visited poor villages in China, sat with orphans, taught street kids how to fall without fear and rise without pride. He gave more than money, he gave time, energy, and love, because he remembered what it felt like to be left behind, and he had vowed that no one else should feel that way if he could help it. In interviews, he no longer spoke about stunts, he spoke about sacrifice. He talked about growing old, about watching others rise, while you learn to step back with grace. He laughed at his injuries, called them souvenirs from a life well lived, and when asked if he ever regretted doing all his stunts, he simply said, "If I didn't do it, someone else would have, and I would be forgotten." But he was not forgotten. He was honored, awarded, celebrated. He received a Lifetime Achievement Oscar, something no other Chinese action star had ever done. When he walked on that stage with tears in his eyes and humility in his voice, the world stood up to applaud not just the actor but the man who had spent 5 decades giving everything to the screen and expecting nothing back. Even in his 60s, Jackie kept working, not because he needed the money or the fame, but because he believed in movement. He believed that the body may slow down, but the spirit doesn't retire. He kept learning new skills, exploring new roles, playing complex emotional characters that showed a deeper side of him, the man behind the punch, the heart behind the humor. He spoke more openly about his mistakes, about how he used to chase success so blindly that he missed the little moments, the smiles, the silences, the stillness. He spoke about his son, about fatherhood, about being absent when he should have been present, and how he was trying to make up for that. Now, not with gifts, but with time, with honesty, with being there. Jackie became more than an icon. He became a bridge between generations, between East and West, between tradition and change. He broke language barriers, cultural walls, and industry norms. And he did it without losing himself. He never became someone else to be accepted. He made the world accept him as he was. He knew that true legacy is not built in awards, but in people, in lives touched, hearts changed, and dreams awakened. He received letters from fans who said they survived depression because of his movies, who said they learned discipline from watching him, who said he made them believe that even if you fall, you can rise again stronger. He never let success blind him to his beginnings, he still visited the opera school that raised him, still remembered the names of the masters who beat him, still carried gratitude for the lessons hidden in pain. He believed that the past is not a prison, it's a foundation, and that, no matter how far you rise, your roots must stay strong. His final message to the world was simple: do your best, give your all, respect your craft, love your people, and never forget where you came from, because at the end of the day, we are not remembered for what we did for ourselves, but for what we did for others. He taught the world that you don't need superpowers to be a hero, you just need heart. Jackie Chan's story is not just a tale of kicks and comedy, it is a saga of sacrifice, of a boy who was left alone and chose not to hate but to grow, of a man who broke bones to break barriers, and of a legend who taught us all that falling down is just another way of showing the world how powerfully you can rise. And so as the lights fade, and the applause echoes and the world keeps spinning, Jackie Chan stands, not as a fading star but as a blazing legacy. A reminder that greatness is not in how high you fly, but in how hard you fight to get up when no one is watching, and how deeply you care when no one is clapping.